Welcome to Make More Marbles. My name is Brad Hart, and we're here to interview the game changers, the future makers, the co-collaborators and creators who are here to collaborate with one another towards a better future for all of us. Enjoy the show. We've got a great guest coming up for you right now. Welcome to Make More Marbles. My name is Brad Hart, and I'm here today with Bobby Umar. Bobby, say hi to the people at home. What's going on, brother?
Hello, everybody. Excited to be here. Can't wait to share some insight. You're stoked. That's good. You're ready to meet up.
Down in California, we get stoked on things. It's a beautiful day here in sunny San Diego. Where are you calling in from, Bobby? Tell the people at home where you're from.
I'm from Toronto, Canada, home of the Raptors, home of the Blue Jays, depending on whether you like baseball or basketball.
We don't have a football team. What's up with that, San Diego Chargers leaving?
Yeah, it's okay. We don't have one either, so it's okay.
But you guys have beautiful sports like hockey and beautiful women and poutine and all the great things that happen up in Toronto.
Poutine, for sure.
Well, Bobby, you're a motivational speaker. You're an inspirational speaker because motivation's like showering. You need to do it daily because it wears off. But you really inspire people to take action in their lives to create a better vision, a better, leadership focus, service, all of that great stuff. How did you become who you are today? Let's get a little bit into that hero's journey about what's going on with you.
Sure. I think the main start was I was one of those people that I call a lost leader. I was kind of lost on my path. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So, my dad said go into engineering because I liked math and physics. So I did mechanical engineering. And then I worked as a mechanical design engineer for aerospace. And, I wasn't that into it. I mean, I preferred to do stuff on the side, and at lunchtime I wouldn't talk about, technical things. And then while I was working there, I was bored. So I started my own musical theater company. So I started producing and directing musicals, which is a lot of fun. And I grew that business from 2 people to 150 people over 4 years. And I was like, this is a lot of fun. But I didn't think it, paid well. So I was like, what, how can I do something different? So when I left engineering, I was like, let me do something else. So I did my MBA and went into brand marketing, and I worked for Kraft, and I worked for Dove's Campaign for Real Beauty. Brand marketing was a lot of fun too. But again, I just didn't feel the right fit. And so after 3 different careers of, performing arts and, brand marketing, engineering, I even did a stint in like teaching. I was like, what do I want to do? Like, I'm frustrated, I didn't fit anywhere. And so I dove into my personal brand and kind of figured it all out. And then the journey took me to the fact that, I love people. I love persuading, influencing. I love presenting and performing. I love nurturing, and I like diversity. And so I was like, what? I think I should start a speaking career. And over the years, people had said, Bobby, you're pretty good at talking to people, connecting on an emotional level, and you're relating it back to the business. Have you ever thought about starting a, speaking career? And I was like, and the first 3 times I was like, nah, I'm trying to. No, because first
I
was like,
don't got time for speaking.
No, I was like, I'm trying to be a better engineer. I'm trying to be a better brand marketer. I'm trying to build my corporate profile. And finally, the 4th time, I was like, yeah, you know what? I have been thinking about this. And so in 2006, 2007, that's when I launched my company, Rallen, and my speaking thing. And, ever since before that, I never worked anywhere in any career longer than 4 years. And here I am 11 years later doing what I love and feeling the impact. And so it's been a great journey.
I love it, Bobby. And you've actually done 4 TEDx talks now. Is that right?
Yeah,
that's
right.
Beautiful.
That's right.
When are we going to get you on the main stage, man? We got to get you up there.
Yeah, I know. They got to get me down to California, but it's that's always the big dream of being able to do that. Most of the people that have done successful TEDx talks, like Brené Brown and Simon Sinek, I mean, they basically did a TEDx talk that was accepted by TED and then went viral, right, with crazy hits and millions of views, and then they got invited to the TED stage. But yeah, I'm pumping it up. It's honestly, it's harder for motivational speakers to get on there.
Is that right? So there's not like a scientific lean. They kind of like that science part of it.
They prefer either someone who's like some sort of research, or someone who's done something really special, like I went to the moon or I climbed Mount Everest or something like that. Something really unique.
Not a big deal. Going to the moon.
I hear leadership, motivational speakers were everywhere, right? So,
well, and then you get into the weeds with it because, motivation, yes, inspiration, yes, but what about like peak performance or strategy? All the things that really are the takeaways. That you got to package it in an inspirational message, and that's important. But here are the practical, tactical things you can actually do to better your life. And I feel like that's more what you focus on.
But the other thing to keep in mind too is that most of the talks, they're looking for a unique idea or a unique slant, right? So if the idea is, if I want to do a TEDx talk on personal branding, they would say no, because everyone's talking about that. They want, networking, authentic connection. Everyone's talked about those. Leadership development, everyone's talking about it. So you have to have a unique slant. Like, so for example, my latest TEDx talk pitch that I sent to another event was the history of hugs. Why? Because no one's talking about that. That'd be an interesting conversation.
I love that. And I actually have a friend here who runs Hugwear. She calls it the Hug Asana. She's a big yogi and into that. And they have like pockets in the back. So you have to like really get up in there. It's like having a kangaroo pouch on the back. So when you hug somebody, you really got to like work at it. It's fun. It's a good time.
I like it.
And they glow in the dark. And then on the wrist, they have Hug Life.
Oh, when do they enter Canada? Come on, bring them up here. We're cold up here.
Seriously, we got to get it going, Jess.
Freezing.
I'm telling you, if you listen to this, this is what you're doing in the world. I have a couple puns for that. I have the Hug Life didn't choose me. I chose the Hug Life. I'm a hug dealer. The first one's free. The next one will cost you. We can make that happen. The Huggy instead of the Snuggie. That could be a thing. Yeah. There you go. $1 billion idea. Done. Go. All right. So what is a TED Talk that you wish existed? I guess is a really quite, a good question. Like, what is the thing that you really wish people would just tackle and get out there? And who would you nominate to take on that topic?
Whoa.
Aside from yourself, of course.
That's a deep question. I've seen a lot of TED Talks and I've seen a lot of content out there. I mean, it's like Shakespeare. Every single story has been told. Every single great idea has been told. So for me, I think it's more about what are the stuff that people generally don't talk about. And I'd probably go towards something really deep and personal, like, I'm going to be really personal with you. Okay. Like, body image, I'm a big guy and my entire life I've struggled with my body and feeling good about it, even as a kid. And I have kids now too. And I look at them and I want them to just, and sometimes as a parent, I've experienced it all my life and I have kids now. And yet I still feel I don't know exactly what I'm doing in terms of how do I really, because every kid's different. Like, there's no formula, right? So for me, like some sort of TED Talk idea where they just talk about what can we do better to accept our bodies the way we are and feel beautiful no matter what. My 4-year-old daughter, she came home one day. She was 4 at the time. She's 7 next week, but she's 4, and she saw a package of the Clairol hair makeup, like hair dye. I just outed my wife, but it's hair dye, and she's like, "Oh, I wish I was beautiful as her." I'm like, "Sweetheart, you're the most beautiful girl in the world. What are you talking about? Like, everyone's beautiful." Like it kills me that at 4, she's getting this outside stimuli that's making her feel like she's not beautiful. If I could get some sort of idea or TED Talk to just, like, I mean, talking about is great, but what are the ideas to like help us transform this issue we have with ourselves and our bodies and our self-esteem? Yeah, I'd love to see that.
And then I wonder who would be the best person to go after that. Like, who in the world do you feel like loves themselves to like the nth degree, where they could maybe share some of their practical tactical strategies to where they got there and their hero's journey that would make a great TED Talk, I think.
That's a good question. I mean, a lot of people who struggle with body image and, they lose weight and they gain weight, they could talk more to it. It's funny, there's one person that I've always thought was really attractive, and, she's not the typical, model person, but she's an athlete, but I think she's really beautiful and I think she's confident. Serena Williams. I think that, she's strong and she's vibrant and, I'm sure she gets a lot of that kind of stuff. Someone like her would be a really good person to talk about, how to do that. Because a lot of women struggle with this and they focus on not being beautiful, but being strong, right? Being strong and having endurance and having strength and power and flexibility and things like that. But she would be someone that I would love to see talk about it. And of course, my favorite person to do TED Talks in general is Brené Brown. I just love her work on vulnerability, shame, and things like that. I'm sure because she's research-based, she could probably do a really good job of talking about this type of thing in terms of, what are specific tools we can use for body image. And there's probably a lot of strong parenting advocates out there who, are talking about this. Because, I mean, do you get a parenting advocate or do you get a body image advocate? I'm not really sure what's the best way to go.
Yeah, and this is something I think about a lot is like, yes, we understand that there's a lot of negative messaging that's influencing everybody all the time. Like, I've almost stopped watching the news or consuming very little bits of it because they only tell you about the one thing that's going wrong at all times. And there's always something to find that's going wrong. They don't tell the stories of the 99.9% of people who weren't raped, murdered, stabbed, shot, blown up, almost nuked whatever last night. It's always what's going to kill you next at 11. So, I start thinking from a messaging standpoint, like how do we start to bring more positive messaging into the world, and then B, what are some of the frameworks and tools that you've used as a motivational speaker to maybe help people along who like, I want to spread a positive message. Here are the pieces I need to know in order to do that effectively. Whether it be a framework, whether it be like a this then that type of script, or is it like kind of a how do you craft a story that really resonates with people? What are the pieces and tools you wish that everybody had to do that?
Well, I think a lot of people don't take the time to really understand their why and their target. So, I mean, Simon said I talked about the why statement, but really it's about targeting, right? So understand your target and understand your brand. So your target is the people that you serve. Your brand is the promise you deliver to the people that you serve. And your why really is understanding that pain point that you're talking about. So, for example, from my personal standpoint, my focus, my why statement is there are lost, stuck, or unfulfilled leaders out there. Everywhere I go, I meet people who feel lost in their business, stuck in their careers, unfulfilled in their relationships. And so all my content, all my work, and my events and speaking and coaching is all designed specifically to address that. And so people don't take the time, one, to dive into their personal brand, understand their values, their skills, their traits, their interests, their passions, and align it with something meaningful. Number two, they don't really think about their why in terms of the pain point that people feel and the bliss point you want to take them to. And the third thing is the target. Who is this target? What do they look like? How do they feel? And how can we best address them? And if you can actually, understand those three different things, you can actually put together a really strong case for your business or for your career, or for your entrepreneurship, whatever journey it is, to do that. I mean, when I work with any client, those are the first three things I think about. And then the fourth thing I'll do is really structure around challenges. Like what's holding you back? Like what's holding you back from achieving what you want to do? Because every single one of us has fear. Every single one of us has doubts. Every single one of us, follows the path of success defined by other people. So if you can get past that stuff and really get to the gut check of all those challenges, we can start processing those things, those emotions in a better way, and then move forward. And to me, those are the four things I would start with any person, whether it's my friend or even my mom or a business.
I love it. And that's a really great framework for going from A to B to C to D.
Yeah.
And also giving people the tools that they're going to need to overcome those challenges. Like you said, I think that's going to be the biggest piece is because, okay, you got all this plan together, but plans don't survive first contact with the enemy. Every time you plan, God laughs a little bit, chuckles to himself because life never turns out that way. But it's ultimately those obstacles that become the way forward.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
It's in rising to meet those challenges that you have the tools to then have the thing that you ultimately wanted. I really believe that life gives you the exact challenges that you need to shape into the person who gets the things that they want, need, and desire effortlessly, if you're willing to take that call to action. How has that kind of shaped your life in your own way? Like, can you kind of frame the hero's journey of you becoming this leader that helps unfulfilled, unsatisfied leaders to really step into that person, that passion, that purpose that they crave? What has been your journey with it so far? And then maybe could you share an example of somebody who's gone through your program as well and what they've accomplished?
Well, I think for me, I use the lost, stuck, or unfulfilled piece as a tool for me to take not only other people from good to great, but also take myself from good to great. And so when I define success, and for me, success is defined as in creating fulfillment and happiness in all areas of my life. So people, family, health, all that kind of stuff. So for me, for my business, I look at, where I'm finding fulfillment and where I'm finding joy, and then where do I want to improve. But, in areas where it helps me personally is, we talked about the health thing. I'm trying to be better as a health person. In the last 3 years, I've lost 40 pounds, and
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm working hard on this journey. This is my biggest journey of my life, to be healthier and fit and build that mindset. And so for that's the area where I struggle. And whenever I do struggle, I go back to my vision. I have a vision of where I want to be. I have this vision of actually me on the top of Machu Picchu with my wife and my two kids who are now grown up. They're like 20 and 22. And I'm like in my 60s, and I look awesome and slim and slender, full of white hair, the sun beating on my face, and I feel the wind in my hair. And I'm at the top of the Machu Picchu. I'm looking down, and I'm like, wow, I feel fit. I feel alive. And I look at that vision really makes you feel about, okay, you know what? I need to keep eating better and working out and things like that. So I find that really, really motivating, that vision. And the second thing I do is I go to my support network, because they're always there for me to give me insights and things like that. So that's something I look forward to. Now, how does that work with other people? Well, a perfect example, a woman I met actually at my first conference I led. So I've run this conference called DYPB, Discover Your Personal Brand. It's the North America's biggest conference dedicated to personal branding of all types. And she actually came to every single one of my conferences, including the first one. And I met her the first one. And we went for coffee. And next thing I knew, I was like, you know what? And I said, what's your why? What's your why statement? Like, and then basically worked on honing her why statement, her vision, her mission, and said, look, what is your brand? It's all over the place. You were a daycare worker, and now you've sold that. Now you're like a love coach, but you also want to do Airbnb. Like, how do you align this? And it's funny. I actually just met her today, earlier today. We've been friends for 5 years, and yeah, her brand has emerged to like it's so amazing because she's actually taken the love coaching has now turned into breakup coaching, and she's taken the Airbnb and turned it into this brand called Mikasa, basically for couples who break up who need a space. And so what she does is now she's the breakup recovery specialist that gives coaching, and she offers them a place to potentially stay when they need to get away from the person they're separated from. And that's a fantastic alignment of and merging of her brand, which I love. And the other thing over
you take all these disparate things and you somehow weave them together with a common thread. I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah. And then the other thing that really helped her, and I've been bugging her for the first few years, was like, you need to get out there and just put the content out there. Like, talk about what you're like. People, sometimes the hardest thing for people to do is just start. But I just said, and she's so articulate and so great on camera. Like, just put a video out there, and she didn't do it for 2 years. Finally, she did. What do you know? Hundreds of views. Next thing you know, Bobby, I got 4 clients. Yeah. Like, that's how it works. Like, get it out there. You're so articulate. You're so fantastic. So to me now, like, she's getting tons of clients, and now she's planning for the merging of these brands. And I'm very excited to see that she's able to take her why statement and her plan and her targeting and really focus on a niche that actually is serving a great purpose.
Yeah. And I mean, 50% of relationships are ending up breaking up. So, I mean, there's definitely a need for sure. The weight thing is really interesting to me too, because I've had my own struggles. When I was in high school, I was actually close to 200 pounds. And I just weighed myself this morning. I'm as light as I've been in my adult life. I'm 162 pounds, and I run every day and I barely eat, but I feel more energized than I've ever felt in my life also.
That's great.
So it's this kind of interesting thing where, like, the less I focus on it and the more I just do the things I know work, and I eat ice cream, I do all the stuff. Like, I eat tons of calories. It's just like the more I focus on the thing that I know is right for my body, it just works. It takes care of itself.
But the truth is, we all know, like no one, I mean, everyone knows you should exercise and eat well. We just don't, right? I mean, we all know that if you want to grow a business, you have to do the work, and you got to hustle, and you got to network, and you got to have a valid platform. Everyone knows these things. It's our mindset that, throws us off. For me personally, I might, like Halloween just happened. The kids had treats. There they all are. Oh my God. Let me grab some. Or the belief, the doubt that, gets in the way of what we're trying to do. So I appreciate that. I mean, I think for me, my biggest struggle is just building a consistent mindset so that I don't lose track, because you want to get to the point where, you know what, you can eat McDonald's, you can go to have some ice cream. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. As long as it's at the right time. As long as you work within your hormonal cycles. That was the key that I learned. Like, I just had to do it right. I had to fast certain times of the day. Right. And then I had to start with like good fats and like the basics, get all my supplements and all that stuff. And then at the end of the day, I can eat like a pig if I really want to. Right. And then on a Sunday, I can go and just go hog wild if I really want to. And the funny thing is, I want to less and less because I feel like crap afterwards. So I've almost like now trained myself to like, I don't even want to eat that way. It's a weird thing, but it took a while to get there.
I had the exact same thing. I had a long series of really good results and really good eating, but my rule was, when I go to my mom's, I eat whatever I want, and because my mom is like the best cook in the world, all this Indian curries and naan bread.
Ooh, love it.
And so I get there, and honestly, I pigged out like I can't even move. But but I love, and I don't feel sick because like it's my mom's cooking, and what happens is the next day I gain maybe 2 pounds, but because I'm consistent, it's gone within 2-3 days, and it doesn't matter. And that's like once a month, and so what? Not a big deal. So
self-correcting systems, right? It's like everybody has the room. Like, the second you tell your brain that you can't do something, whether it be in food or exercise or whatever. Like the second you say, no, this is off limits,
Yeah.
it's like the first step towards self-sabotage, because you're just building up that desire, gets stronger and stronger. And eventually you're just going to say, and you're going to go overboard.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why I actually started a hashtag and a movement called Fit in My Life. And the idea is that, not only do I struggle to get fit in my life, but I think we all struggle to make everything fit in our lives. And so what I do now is I talk about that in terms of, how do we make these, you need to create something that's sustainable long-term. It can't just be like, that's why diets don't work. That's why, another relative of mine lost 150 pounds with the Bernstein diet and then gained 100 pounds after back. Like, it wasn't sustainable. You got to create something that will fit in your life and be sustainable and build a lifestyle that you can feel good about and not have to, feel miserable that you're giving up stuff.
But then again, it starts with your why, right? If you don't have that why, it's really clear. Like for me, it's my team. Right. If I'm not 100%, it reflects immediately and
absolutely.
And
a better you is a better everybody else, right?
Right. Exactly.
Physically, mentally, socially, skills wise, you name it. Building a better you will make everything better in your life.
But you know what I've never seen that motivate anybody beyond, greatness is to have a why that's all about themselves, right? If your why is, I got to make, a whole bunch of money for me, you might make like 75 grand a year. If it's you and your family, maybe it's like 150, 200. If it's your family, community, tribe, etc., maybe 500K. But if your vision encompasses millions and billions of people, it's going to also encompass millions and billions of dollars. And I think that's kind of like the success principle, the fitness principle, the health principle. Like you really need a why that's bigger than you. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the why that I've created for myself is a global thing. So, I apply my why, lost, stuck, or unfulfilled people, to everything. So my friends, my children, they're lost leaders. My wife is a lost leader. My friends are lost leaders, my parents. And then, but I'm thinking global because I'm trying to help the world with my why, my why, because everywhere seriously, people everywhere I go. I spoke in India, I spoke in Dubai, I spoke in England. There are lost, stuck, unfulfilled people there. And every time I talk about that, it resonates with them and they like my content and they want to know more about what they can do. Because when you're speaking on stage, you want to connect on that emotional level with people and also be vulnerable. So I even share the fact that, hey, I'm lost, stuck, unfulfilled with my health. And here's what I'm doing to get better. And you can do the same thing for yourself. So yeah, my goal and my vision is really to take it global. Absolutely. And that's why even DYPB, my personal brand conference, even though we started in Canada, we're thinking global because I think people all around the world can relate to personal branding. They want to be authentic. They want to tell their own story. They want to own their path. They want to go from good to great. And that's why personal branding matters so much to them.
That's huge, Bobby. And I think you really hit on another piece, which is helping people to understand how they can have an impact in other people's lives, gets them out of their own stuff long enough to really make a difference. And then ultimately it solves their problems too, because that's what they wanted in the first place, was to connect with people, was to serve, was to make more money, whatever it was that they wanted. It really doesn't come from the self-analysis, right? That's just mental masturbation. At the end of the day, it comes from getting out of yourself. So if you were to go back and kind of give yourself some advice when you're starting your speaking career, what would it be like to get somebody to where you're at today as quickly and with as few painful bumps along the way? Like, what would be the advice you'd give them?
Great question. Number one, get a coach. So that's something I didn't do. I mean, a business coach to help you focus on all those things, your target, your brand, your why, your strategy moving forward. Get a coach to help you figure that stuff out in the early days. I didn't do that. I found more success in the later half of my business than the first half because I wasn't even doing that. And I think that was a huge mistake. And you're like, oh, but it costs money. But you know what? Guess
what? So does screwing up for 10 years.
Absolutely.
It costs a lot more money, or it costs you the money you could have made. It's the university of not knowing. You're writing a check to a university that you have no idea.
The way to think about this, is like you could invest $0 in a coach, and let's say you make $40,000 the first year business. But if you invest even $10,000 in a coach, and it's going to make you, let's say, $100,000 your first year business, is that worth something? Totally.
Yeah. Just add an extra 50 grand to your bottom line you didn't know existed.
So people don't think about that because, a coach will provide accountability. I mean, you got to have the right one. They have to be really smart, know their stuff.
The right and have a track record and be similar
accountability,
to
focus, strategy, all that kind of stuff would be huge. So for me, that'll be the first thing. And, they probably would have made me work harder because in the beginning, I didn't work as hard, honestly, like I didn't.
Yeah.
And, because I was so free of the corporate world. It's like, oh boy, I can do whatever I want. And,
oh no, I can do whatever I want.
no, I know. So I wasn't as focused the first couple of years. So for me, that coach thing would have been huge, I think. And then I think the second thing would have been better for me would have been really focused on a specific niche. I was really broad. I was broad. Like I was like, okay, I'm a coach and a speaker, and I'll talk about anything. And that wasn't good. Like I try. It's important to focus on the one, two, or the three main things that you're all about. So now for me, it's all about connection, networking, relationship building, and then from that, there's a little triangle of social media and personal branding, which link into the authentic connection piece. So that's what I'm all about. I'm all about that connection piece.
I love that, Bobby. So if somebody comes to you and they say, I want to start a personal brand, you have the 4-step framework that you talked about all the way through to challenges, your why, all that great stuff. What are some of the other pieces? Like, you connect them to other resources within the community. How do you get them on their first stage? Does it start with a blog? Does it start with a podcast? Like, what are some of the things they can do to just get started right now?
Okay, so let's assume that they've figured out their target and their why. That's what you're saying, right?
Yep.
So what do we do now to build that personal brand? Honestly, it's content. Get something out there. So I don't care if it's a blog post. I don't care if it's a paragraph or a tweet or a video, but I prefer video. Video is the future. It's actually the future today. But get some content. Just put it out there and just, and seriously, and this is for all your viewers. If anyone here is listening to this right now, if you want to put together a blog post or a video on LinkedIn today and you tag me, I will then like and comment on it, and that'll automatically share with my 14,000 followers. Is that worth something to you? Just do it, because it's win-win, man. Like, no, seriously. People so I would say that's the first thing you do. You really get that content out there, because the content also serves as getting feedback from your network, because once you put the content out, the tribe will follow. The tribe will follow what you're talking about. So to me, you're getting feedback and you're sharing your expertise and what you're passionate about. To me, that is the first step you want to do to get out there and get that brand going. Then once it's going out there and you're starting getting feedback from people, now you start to hone your your LinkedIn profile and your Facebook profile and your YouTube page and wherever different channels. I mean, some people choose hundreds of channels, some people choose 3, but whatever, you have to choose what channels and methods you're going to get your message out there to people. I use a lot. I use Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I use a lot, but some people use 1 or 2 or 3, but I think you have to use at least 1 to 3 to start. And you have to figure out that channel and then learn all you can about how that channel works. Hopefully your coach will help you on that as well, but learn all you can on how that channel works, and then use best practices to get that message out there. And then the third thing you do is, if you want to be a speaker and you want to speak on stage, whether it's a TEDx talk or your own talks, honestly, I have a speaker mastermind group that I run. And one of the first things I tell them is, look, I want you to pick up the phone today, call your high school and call your college and say, listen, I'd like to come and speak to people. Is there an avenue for it? Because most schools will love to have established professionals come back and speak to their kids or their youth. So that's the first thing you can do to start speaking. And then just put it out there. Hey, I'm looking to speak at conferences and opportunities. And if you put it out there and you have a strong brand, people will approach you.
I like that, Bobby. Just get into it, right? Just start speaking, right? It doesn't matter if it's for 2 people or 20 people or 200 people. Get out there and start speaking. Yeah. I love that. All right. And you're also a very prolific tweeter. Now let's kind of go meta a little bit. What do you see the platforms shifting to? You're on a lot of platforms, for example, Make More Marbles. I'm mostly on Facebook. Facebook could come and pull me out and say no any day, which I don't expect that to happen. But every time something weird goes on where they won't let me post a comment or a post that I want to make, I wonder. So, we're starting to branch out into LinkedIn, and we're looking at Pinterest and some other things that might, be a little bit counterintuitive, but might make a lot of sense in the long term. What are some of the content platforms you're looking at? What do you wish existed, and where do you see this all going?
It's interesting because, I've been a big social media advocate since it came on. I was an early adopter of Facebook and LinkedIn. I've tried everything and then eventually let them go. I let go of Vine, which, obviously tanked. And then I let go of Pinterest and I let go of other ones. What's interesting is, it's all about authentic connection and engagement. It's all about accessibility. I want to access you. I want to be in the moment, in the now, and be there with you when things are happening. So, Facebook has Facebook Live, and now Instagram has the stories. So does Snapchat. So Twitter now has Twitter Live and Periscope. LinkedIn hasn't done that, but they're getting there. So that to me is going to be a trend. It's going to be live access to personal, professional, and social events going on around the world. I think that's going to be a big trend you're going to see. The second thing is about relationship building, authentic connection. Like they're going to want to know a bit about you. They're going to want you to know a bit about them, and taking the time to really understand one another and connecting, whether it's what we're doing here on this chat or whether we're doing it online. Some of the things I'm working on now, LinkedIn so Facebook is good, but Facebook is transitioning to the pay only model where, if you're a business and you want to get traction, it used to be 8% of your posts from your Facebook biz page would be shown to your audience. Then it went down to 1 to 2%. Now it's almost zero because they want you to buy ads. Facebook, and that's why Facebook is, a big money maker. Facebook and Instagram to me have been amazing because they've been evolving and adapting and growing better than anybody else. Instagram has taken Snapchat and taken themselves to the next level. And Facebook has taken all the other platforms and added things to the next level. Like, Skype has video chat. Yeah, so does Facebook, right? There's live, there's Periscope. Their Periscope had the live thing, Meerkat, but then Facebook added Facebook Live. They took over. So like Facebook is awesome at that. And I think
now Facebook Watch too is I think against YouTube play.
Yeah, or here's another good example. Facebook has, like, if I message you on Facebook and I say, hey, let's meet at 2:30, it'll say, put a calendar, an automatic calendar on Facebook. Like LinkedIn, like where the hell are you? You should have been doing that, right? Because LinkedIn has screwed up on the calendar piece and the group piece. The best business groups that I'm part of are on Facebook, not on LinkedIn. And so LinkedIn has some ways to go. That said, I've been investing a lot of time and energy on LinkedIn because in the last, I would say 6 to 10 months, they have really ramped up their stuff. So for example, they've added native video, which is great. So I do a daily video every morning at 9 a.m. They are now pushing more out the algorithm towards text-based content on status updates. It used to be more about the articles, but now it's not. Now it's like, what's my status update in my personal profile? And the other thing they've done is kind of cool. Is like, when you get messages on your phone, and they actually have artificial intelligence that tells you, it gives you responses based on the text above, and they're actually quite clever and creative and unique, as opposed to just thumbs up and thanks. So that's changed. So I'm seeing some great traction there. I've been getting better traction there than I have on almost anything else I've done. I was like, my best LinkedIn status update got 90,000 views.
Wow.
300 likes, 300 comments. It was insane. I never get that even on Facebook. So,
and it's always a function of competition too, right? Because there's so many people trying to own Facebook, and it's so difficult to do so, and they have the most users, that LinkedIn might be kind of more of a blue ocean.
Yeah, so I think LinkedIn has a lot of opportunity for those who want to be, because they're bringing native video now. So if you want to start doing videos, that's great. Facebook, I mean, again, Facebook is, when I talk to people, Facebook's a must. I mean, name me anything aside from email that has 65% household penetration and 85% reach. 85% of all people can be reached through Facebook. That's ridiculous. That's, especially in North America, that's huge. Nothing's even close except for email, but 100% of us have email, but we all suffer from email exhaustion. So, I'm curious where email is going, because, now I do a lot of work through work management tools like Slack, and people are kind of getting off of email. That's going to be an interesting trend for me. I think email is here for a while, but it's going to change in terms of what it's for. It might be just a way of sending messages to subscribers and email marketing things, but when it comes to actually doing work, I think people are going to transition to Slack or Trello. When it comes to social interaction and engagement and authentic connection, whether it's personal, professional, I think it's going to be Facebook and LinkedIn. I think that's the way to go. And I mean, I'm a Twitter guy and I love Twitter, but like, come on, Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter's hurting right now.
I mean, the only reason, Twitter for the first time in their history had a decline in users in their user base. That's a huge problem. So, I mean, they have 327 million users. Great. And the only reason they're actually still alive is because of Donald Trump, because, normally they would actually, cut him off, but, he's the one keeping them alive and generating interest. But they have to find a way to get more users. One of the things they just started doing is having 280 characters versus 140. I'm actually in favor of that. I think it's a good idea because with 280, you can have more thoughtful conversations. You can have people sharing more thoughtful arguments. They can even share more creative pieces like a poem or a song or something that they care about. So I think that's a good step in getting more users. But they also have to deal with all the spam and trolls on there, and they got to figure that out because they still have things that they own. Like Twitter still owns accessibility. I can't message Lady Gaga or Barack Obama on Facebook or LinkedIn, but on Twitter I can say, hey, what's up? And I feel like I have access to them. People love that. And it's also very responsive. So when there's like an earthquake or a good thing happening in the world or a bad thing happening in the world, or someone scores a goal in the World Cup, right away someone's tweeting it with a video, a picture, or a text post. So Twitter has that super responsiveness as well, although Facebook's catching up. So Twitter to me is there, but and right now it has a few advantages, but I really, really hope they do a better job of it because right now there's lots of competition out there. But for me, that's where my focus and energy is. I would say Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter are my big three. I do engage a bit on Instagram, and I was snapping. I stopped. Bold thing. I just stopped because the thing Instagram pretty much has all the same things that Snapchat has, and Snapchat's not really my target audience, and I can't see who my audience is, and that just to me sucks.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of that two-way dialogue. Okay, so now thinking 5-10 years in the future, maybe less at this point, what do you think VR and AR is going to do to social media, and how is it going to change, right? Because we're just talking about owning the attention channels. And you said that the key drivers are authentic communication and connection. I mean, there's nothing more authentic than either being like one-on-one live with somebody or maybe even a virtual space with somebody that's not right there in front of you. And then being able to interact as if you were there in real life. I think that's really where it's going. And then ultimately, buying experiences will be dictated by that, and abilities to interact with virtual environments will be dictated by that, and all the things that come out of that. I just see this like next phase is looking even more crazy. Like I see websites being dead in the next 2-3 years completely. Like it's going to be virtual or it's going to be irrelevant.
Yeah, it's really fascinating what's happening, and people are using AI to create very customized, personalized, authentic connection with people. So the medium in which they're going to do it, Facebook messaging is stronger than email marketing now, and video is going to be stronger than anything out there. So there's going to be this whole play on leveraging a video with AI and VR to really start connecting with people. I think you're probably going to see situations where people will access someone like myself or yourself via video, but not all the time because it's impossible for us to be 24/7. But it'll be something like, through AI and VR, you can connect with Brad or Bobby on this date at 2:00 Friday, and then I'm there and I'm answering questions and I'm engaging people, as opposed to, let's say, 15 years ago where you'd have like a teleconference online, or here when you have a webinar, things like that. I think there's going to be major currency with video access, live, interactive, with thought leaders everywhere.
Yeah, and I think there's also another huge opportunity. I'm just thinking out loud right now, but like I always think like, how could I replicate myself? Or how could I have conversations with people that, I've had the same, like cryptocurrency and blockchain, to open the Pandora's box. Thousands of people have reached out to me about cryptocurrency and blockchain. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I made a little cheat sheet and I sent everybody the cheat sheet. And that's good. But then like they have other questions, right? And they want to continue down the rabbit hole. And I kind of like, no, I just set a boundary there. I would love to have like an AI that I could train to give people an experience that was like having a conversation with me, where there's a big fat disclaimer on it that this is not me and not advice, investment advice and all that good stuff. But then additionally, allow people to have more of a conversation and scale that. Like that's a huge piece, right? Well, so I started thinking about ways that it could be.
And that's interesting because you could take all the content you've ever written, all the videos you've ever done, and use
and then just smartly direct people towards the thing that they need most.
Yeah,
right. So there's $1 billion idea, and I got 1 million of them. I don't know how to make that real, but I would love to have a conversation with people who are building better systems to serve more people. Really, that's what I'm here to do. Better conversations, serving more people, bringing in the resources, the people, the connections, the systems that make that a reality, so that we all can enjoy more time.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think that time is going to be such an important value that we place. I mean, we all place it on it now, but I also see a big transition in the workplace because I think that most people are not going to want to do the corporate hierarchical structure, the 9-to-5 thing. It's changing so much. And so part of my message too is to help people empower themselves to use the knowledge economy, to use technology, to use authentic connection to, create a brand for themselves and a business for themselves where they don't have to, do that whole 9 to 5, I'm going to call it the slave drive, a structure for the rest of their lives. Because no one joins a company saying, you know what, I can't wait to be 50 years here for the next 50 years. No one thinks that. They think they should be thinking less, 2, 5, 10 years, and then get out and do your own thing.
Right. And just have that platform and those skills to actually build something of merit. And that would actually work, because it's not easy to run a company.
Yes.
And I think that's on purpose in a lot of ways. Like, it's really difficult to be an entrepreneur and be successful. And it's like the gauntlet, right? I call it the gladiator syndrome. Like 99% of businesses will be out of business in 15 years. 99%.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And even businesses that have been around for 100 years are going under.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that's why, but there's going to be a lot more of us out there that are helping these people do this. I mean, 20 years ago, there's less of us out there, but now there's way more. And I meet so many young people, millennials and Gen Z, who are totally not thinking long-term with the corporate structure. They want, and they're learning way more than we ever did when we were kids. They're learning far more in less time. I've met some of the most brilliant 19 and 20-year-olds
I agree.
in the past couple of years. It blows my mind. So I hope my kids can be like that too. But yeah, it's actually quite amazing. So, and there's a lot of others who are not thinking of these things at all, because they're growing up in a structure that doesn't push that. They push the whole 9
it's
to 5.
The internet, Bobby. Anybody can learn anything they want to learn from whoever they want to learn it from. If that person's putting out content, they can find it.
Absolutely.
Which is why I think net neutrality is probably the biggest existential threat to this current awakening of consciousness that we're having, right? And I just want to give another plug for that, guys. If you don't understand net neutrality, you don't understand that the pipelines by which we receive information and what attention we cultivate can be bought and sold, and that is very heavily being regulated right now as we speak. Like, get involved in that conversation, because net neutrality, guys, you don't know what you got until it's gone, until the internet that you knew or thought you knew is gone.
Powerful words, man. I love it.
So, if you want to keep this going, this beautiful conscious train that we got going of everybody growing and 19-year-olds being able to tap into the wisdom of the ages and become so effective. I know 19-year-olds that make $1 million a year. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And good for them, and they're serving people at a high level, and they're just having conversations that I get blown away by every time. And the people that have mentored them, like, it's just so beautiful to see. And it fills me with such a sense of pride to be able to mentor people that are coming up in the world and don't quite get how it works yet, but they're eager and they're hungry and they don't have a lot of bad habits, and we can just help them grow very quickly. And I know you feel the same way. So Bobby, just to kind of wrap this up, what are some of the things that you would really love to see in the world, and how can we help you find those? Like, what are the connections, the opportunities, the resources, the people, the systems that we can connect you to move your mission forward faster in the world?
Whoa, man. Okay. Wow. That's fabulous. I think one of the things I'm looking to do is DYPB. So discover your personal brand. Personal branding is something really everyone cares about. I really want to take this and make it a little more global. So trying to take the message of personal branding and owning who you are and putting together a fantastic event that inspires millions and expanding beyond Canada. That's something that I would love that, because I'd love to be able to, provide tools to help people, whether they're in school or whether they're starting a career or whether they're starting an entrepreneurship job, to dive into their personal brand, figure out what it is, and then align it to what they're doing. And then once they've aligned it, then have the tools in a toolbox per se to help them get to the next level. And to me, that would be something really value add for me. I would love to see that. I'd love to see. I'd love to inspire more conversations around, and again, I know this is not really corporate, but like more conversations about vulnerability and failure and health and body image and things that, we all struggle with our whole lives. Whether I'm with my parenting friends, whether I'm with my entrepreneur friends, whether I'm with my family, we don't talk about those deep, deep, dark things that are really holding us back. How do we create a platform and engagement where people can talk about it openly with no fear of judgment and just learn and get support, and love. I mean, that would be an amazing thing to see. So those are some of the things that I think about. And I think the last thing I'm going to say is there's a lot of people out there that I think feel really alone. They feel alone in their house. They feel alone in their job. They feel alone behind a computer. If there's anything that we can do to create systems and train them to, find more impact with where they're at, and not get to a good place and take that good place and go to great. That would be an amazing thing. I think there's a lot of people out there who are stuck like that, and I know some of them personally, and I want to help them, but the challenge is they're not going to help. They have to help themselves. But we have
two to tango.
What's that?
Two to tango. Got to lead a horse to water. Can't make them drink. That whole thing.
We have to find a way to get that message into them so they internalize it and they actually start acting and starting.
Yeah, everybody has free will, right? That's the end of the day. That's what I had to learn the hard way with my dad passing away, and he didn't want to be saved. Didn't want to be saved. Didn't want my help. Didn't want anybody's help. Wanted to die, and he did. He got what he wanted.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
And when you understand that, like, you can let it go. It's like, hey, you did everything you could. It's not your job to save everybody, but the ones you can save, that's the ones that matter.
Absolutely. And, for me, my story, legacy, and impact starts with my two kids. They're the greatest leadership journey of my life. And then myself, in terms of bettering myself. And then once I better myself, I can better my kids. I can better my teams. I can better the world. That's what I focus on.
I love it, Bobby. How can people get in touch with you? Where can they find you online?
Sure, I'm everywhere, but typically you can find me on Twitter at Rayhan Bobby. You can also go to my website, rayallen.com, and you can also find me on LinkedIn and Facebook. Again, I'm pretty much everywhere, but using the Rayhan Bobby.
Can you just spell that too?
RAEHAN BOBBY. That's my main handle on everything. So just look for me that way.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show, Bobby. And on behalf of all the marble makers out there, we really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Brad. A real pleasure. And you are a dynamo. I love it. Great talk.
Thanks so much for listening to the Make More Marbles podcast. For more tips, hacks, and strategies to create an amazing, abundant life in your health, wealth, and relationships, whatever that means to you, head on over to makemoremarbles.com. Check out our cool explainer video about what we're about, and join our community of entrepreneurial game changers. We want to help you level up your life in every possible way. And don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and please do leave a review. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next podcast.